Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty and fashion trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered.
Welcome to the GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and let's just get into some beauty stuff. So, I went to lunch with my mother today, and she needed to go to TJ Maxx. So I was like, okay, I'll tag along, and I'll go to TJ Maxx with you. And I just picked up some stuff from TJ Maxx. So, me and my mom were looking along. She was looking for a Pilates mat, and I was looking in the makeup section, and I noticed there are a lot of high-end name brands and like big names that I hear all the time in any sort of makeup situation that are there. Now, of course, keep in mind that a lot of these things are opened and stuff like that. So I went and I looked for stuff that wasn't opened, things that weren't super dirty, and things that from brands that I've seen and never tried before. Now, let me tell you about everything I picked up, and then we'll go product by product and kind of do some fun reviews on what I found at TJ Maxx and maybe some of the stuff that you could possibly find at TJ Maxx. So let's start out with something I'm actually not going to talk about in this podcast, but I'll talk about in another one, but I thought I would at least tell you that I picked it up in this one and explain to you the section that I found it in. So this is the Dr. Jart Shake and Shot Shaking Rubber Elastic Shot Face Mask. Now this thing is terrifying. It's like a baby head with a straw coming out of its mouth, and it looks like it's in a fast food container. Super creepy looking, but I've seen these before on just other websites and on Sephora and all sorts of stuff like that. And I saw people really liking this and that it was a pretty hot ticket item. So I was like, I better pick this on up. Now, I've heard nothing but great things about Dr. Jart, and this specific one that I have here, I see retails for about $12 regularly, and I got this for about $5. So that's a really good deal when it comes to this. Now, like I said, I'm going to do a dedicated video specifically on this product because I think it's going to take a little bit longer than just a few minutes to talk about and try out, and then I can't try out these other products while I'm using this. So let's move on to the next thing that I found. So I found a BareMinerals Bounce and Blur eyeshadow palette. And this eyeshadow palette is in the color Dusk. And my mother loves BareMinerals, and I've never tried BareMinerals. And so I'm super excited about this because I know usually BareMinerals is out of my price range. And I found this, and it was one of the only makeup items that I found that wasn't like palette wise that wasn't destroyed from people trying to open it and see what's inside. And so I thought I would definitely pick this up and talk about it with you guys and probably try it as well. Now, this I found retails for about $29, so about $30, and I got this for $12. I got this for $12 and it retails for $29, like $30. So this is a steal in my book. I'm not going to open these until I get into each product individual. I just kind of wanted to go over each product before we got into each one individually, if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one, which I was kind of excited to see, and this is a Stila product. This is the Stila Glitter and Glow Liquid Shadow in the color Ballet Baby. Now, the bottom of this box does look ripped, like someone tried to open it and then gave up. But I am super stoked to try this because I've never tried anything by Stila before, but I've heard good things. Now, this product in specific, when I looked it up, retails for around $16 to $17, and I bought this for $7. So that's a steal once again, and I'm super excited to try this. It looks from the top of it to be like a pinky purpley color, and I really hope it's very pretty. Let's move on to the next one. Ooh, I'm dropping things here. I'm gonna drop everything. There we go. Let's move on to my last product here, which is by Bite Beauty. I've really wanted to try things out by Bite Beauty before, but I just haven't gotten the chance. Stuff's expensive, okay? Shout out to my mom for helping me out with this podcast here, because makeup's expensive and it sucks, but she's the best. So let's move on to what I got from Bite Beauty. And this is the lip gloss in the color French Press. Now, I've heard nothing but good things about this lip gloss, and especially in this color. So when I saw this at TJ Maxx, I was just like, nope, that's it, gotta have it. I was gonna try something else by Bite Beauty, but the fact that I've seen and heard about this before, I was like, oh, that's it. Like, this is, we gotta try this and see what all the hype is about. So from my research, I could see that this is about $16 originally, and I bought it for $4. So that is an absolute steal. Now, this package looked like they tried to open it as well, but didn't really get in. Now, that's kind of what I'm expecting when it comes to stuff from TJ Maxx. Just remember this. This is stuff that people are excited to see at such a discounted price, but then they're kind of about it, if it makes sense. And people are touching everything, undoing everything. They don't have the same kind of sanitary, or ways of sanitizing things and keeping things like an actual makeup store would. So just keep that in mind when you go to this stuff. I try and stay away from any actual, like, face products, like a foundation, a concealer, anything like that, because I don't want to risk anything. And also, a lot of the palettes, like I said earlier, were just open and everywhere, and there was eyeshadow everywhere. My hands got dirty. Wash your hands. But that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to TJ Maxx, is just be wary when you're buying stuff. Make sure whatever you're buying has not been actually opened. Like, both of the smaller items that I talked about, besides the eyeshadow palette, look like the bottoms were they tried to open, but they couldn't. And the tops are completely closed on both of these. It looks like nobody's opened them, and so I felt it was okay to do. Once again, when we actually open each individual product, I'll go through and, tell you how I feel about the packaging, maybe if someone did get into it and how I'm feeling about it and all that kind of stuff, just because I want to be fully transparent with you guys. And, I want to warn you guys that when you go to places like this, things can be kind of contaminated and dirty and gross, and you should at least sanitize them yourself, which I will be doing, not on the podcast, but I will be sanitizing everything. And I'll let you know if I get any sort of lumps or bumps or whatever from trying anything. Most of the time I'm not too worried when it comes to, places like this. I am waving this lip gloss around like it's a wand. I need to set it down. But I just wanted to, let you guys know, you gotta be wary when you go to places like this to pick up makeup. Obviously everything is from the brand, 100%, that kind of thing. Sometimes things could be defective, or, they're just not in stock anymore, or they weren't a big hit, and so they're there, that kind of thing. So just kind of be wary of what you're looking at when you go to a place like TJ Maxx or something along that line. Now, my TJ Maxx had a lot of makeup, like its own section. I hadn't been in there in so long, and their makeup section was ridiculous. They had a whole, kiosk stand that was filled with nothing but cosmetic sponges. My mind was like, what? That is so many sponges of so many different brands in so many different colors. They had a whole other kiosk rack thing for jade rollers too, which I thought was real strange. But I almost bought one, but I didn't. Now I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start opening these products and talking about them and then trying them on.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we're talking about some stuff that I found at TJ Maxx beauty-wise, makeup-wise specifically, and we are going to go over that today. As I started, I just told you everything before the break, what I got, and now we're going to open everything. Because like I said, a lot of times, sometimes things were touched at places like this, so we're gonna do a sweep together. We're gonna start off with the Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadow in the color Ballet Baby. I'm gonna open this. There's a little tab in there. And, oh, it's like the size of the box. Oh, wow. It's a very light color. I mean, it looks untouched, completely untouched. There's no fingerprints on it, no nothing. The liquid inside looks fine. Let's open her up and give her a swatch. See if we'll get a good sound out of this. Ready? Is that a good one? I thought that was a good one. So it's got a flat doe foot applicator. I'm going to smell this. It smells like eyeshadow. It doesn't really smell like anything, like a lot. I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand and see what that's a beautiful color. It's a very light pink, kind of purpley, more on the pink side. Not usually a color I'd go for, but it's really, really pretty. So I'm super excited to, try this. Let's move on to opening our next one. I'm going to let this dry and I'll talk about it a little bit more in just a minute. We're going to start by opening up the Bite Beauty French Press Lip Gloss. Now this box looks kind of dirty, I'm not going to lie. And it does look like people have tried to open it. So let's get in here. All right, open we go. This is beautiful. Oh, wow. This looks like maybe the top was touched, but nothing else. It looks stunning inside. Now let's open it up and give it a good sound check. We're sound checking all these makeup products today. Are you ready? See if we can't get a good sound out of this. Come on. Ooh, that was a good sound. Now this has a flat doe foot as well, but at an angle. I'm going to give this a good smell. That smells like coffee. Like, that smells like coffee. What? I'm going to put this on the back of my hand as well. Do a little swatchy. It's a lot darker of a brown than I thought it was going to be. Oh, but it's so pretty. And it smells like coffee with a hint of chocolate. What is this? I'm really excited that this is in such good, beautiful condition because I did not want this to be touched, and I'm so happy it was not. And you heard that beautiful. Oh, it's got a locking mechanism. Let's see if you can hear this. I love when lipsticks or anything like that, lip glosses, anything has a good locking mechanism. Take a listen. That little click, that's the lid of this locking. I like that because then if you throw it in your purse or something, or you're carrying it around or you drop it, you know that lid is on there, and I really appreciate that. So let's move on to the eyeshadow palette. Now this one I wanted to open last on this, in this area of the podcast, I guess, because like I had said, a lot of the eyeshadow palettes were really busted open, dirty, all that kind of stuff. And this one didn't look like it, but I'm really wary of it. So let's take a look. It looks like this has been opened before, but it really doesn't. Oh, there's a few little grimy fingerprints on it. Please be not touched. Here we go, and open. Oh, it's all shimmer. Everything is a shimmer. It's got a beautiful mirror. The mirror's never been touched, which is fantastic. It looks like maybe one of these was accidentally touched, but not like swatched. Okay, this is beautiful. To be honest, I really love the colors, but everything's really shimmery. So we're doing a shimmery look today, my friends. Let's see if it's got a good sound too. We're sound checking all the makeup, like I said. Oh, sorry. That's a good one. You guys are going to be like, oh, my ears. So let's look at the back of this and look at the colors, since all it says on the box is that it's the BareMinerals Bounce and Blur eyeshadow palette in the color Dusk. Let's look at the colors we have. So we have Evening Star. I'm going to take a good swatch of these. And pop. There we go. It's got a good lid, it really holds on tight. So we're going to swatch each color going from left to right. And it looks like this color, I don't like that the names are on the back, but that's okay. It looks like this color is Purple Twilight. It doesn't really look purple, but we're going to try it. Here, I'm going to take a good little swatch. It's a very, very light, sparkly shade, almost like you can't see it on my light skin tone. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Sepia Sky. Sepia, I'm never too sure how. These are incredibly soft. Oh, wow. This one's a pretty color. Really pretty kind of brown, warm brownie tone. Like I said, all these are really shimmery. So I'm going to have to bust out my own eyeshadows for my crease and whatnot. Let's dip into our next one. This middle shade is stunning. It's called Crimson Sunset. It's this reddish color. These are really soft, incredibly soft. So now we're going to do that. This is actually, I'm going to swatch over that one more time because this one looks a lot less shimmery than the rest. Still sort of on the metallic-esque side, but it's not very metallic, but it's like a rusty, beautiful color. Now let's move on to the next one, which is Harvest Moon. I love that name. This is more of a brown, like a deep brown. We're going to do that next. Oh, wow. Okay. So this one also is not very shimmery, not as shimmery as it looks in the pan. And this one is a very cool tone brown. You know what? I might be able to do an entire look with just this and not have to bust anything else. And let's talk about our last shade in this palette, which is Evening Star. I like the names of these. This one is like a dark, almost black. I'm not sure. We'll see. Oh my gosh, that is the softest one out of all of them. Whoa. I've never felt an eyeshadow like this before. And that is like just a dark, what? Is there no sparkles? Once you get past, it looks like, interesting. This is like a very dark brown. And I'm not seeing a lot of shimmer like I'm seeing in the pan. But this is a really, really pretty palette. And in just a little bit, I'll probably do an entire eye look with this. Probably next, we'll start out by doing an entire eye look with this beautiful palette. This is a good find so far. I'm not mad at it. Nothing was actually touched or opened. I don't think that this was actually touched. Once I touched into that shade that I thought was touched, which is the last one, Evening Star, I realized that it's just so soft that I think it might have shifted in packaging because there's no fingerprints anywhere on it except for a little bit on the outside, like someone may have taken it out of the package to make sure it was in there. If you heard that again, that is the sound check of this palette. I'm really excited about this. Wow, this is almost like a satiny feeling to it. I'm going to dirty up this so much. It's going to get so dirty. But it feels really nice. All of these are really nice, and I'm very glad. Let's check back really quick before we go to a break on that liquid shadow. Have we dried? We have dried down and it is in place. But if I rub it, there is a little bit of shimmer that is kind of flaking off. So we'll have to keep that in mind for this. The gloss is still glossy because it's a gloss, but God, I can't get over the fact it smells like coffee. Now let's take a quick break, and when we come back, or when I come back, we are going to start off by trying out this eyeshadow palette and seeing my thoughts on it.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we're talking about things that I've picked up at TJ Maxx, things that you could find at TJ Maxx, makeup products in specific. So I've talked about each individual product. I've gone through them. We've opened them up together. And now I would like to review them. Let's start off with the BareMinerals eyeshadow palette in the color Dusk, or in Dusk. I wouldn't call it the color because there are multiple colors within this palette. But the first thing I'm going to do is put on an eye primer. Now, I put on an eye primer for basically every eyeshadow look I do, unless I'm using a cream shadow as a base. So this is just me doing this as I normally would. I don't want to change anything that I would normally do to test these out. Otherwise, I'm not going to get an accurate feeling or an accurate test of how I like it. So I'm putting on my Urban Decay primer potion and the anti-aging one all over my eyes, in the crease, and up to the brow bone where I like to put it usually. Not a lot, just a nice thin layer. We're going to let that set, and I'm going to take a look at this palette and decide where I want to start here. So, like I said, they all look shimmery, but when I did swatches, which I won't be posting, and that's only for the fact that I don't believe swatches really tell a good story of what the palette is going to look like. It's really all up to how it works when you're actually using it, instead of how it works when you swatch it. So, the brown and the dark brown, dark blackish color seemed not so shiny to me, even though they look pretty shiny in the pan. Every single one does. So I'm going to go in with a little dense, fluffy brush, and I think I'm going to start with the color Harvest Moon, which is the second to last color here. I'm going to take Harvest Moon on my little dense brush, put a little bit on there, tap it off, and I'm going to just kind of focus that on the outer area and into the crease. Now, I'm doing this, I always lay down some sort of base shadow before I start building everything up into my crease. I just feel like it really kind of helps me decide what shape I'm going for, and you know, what I'm gonna do, where I want to place everything else. If I have a nice base, that really helps. Now let's take a look at this close up. This has a fantastic mirror, by the way. It's very sheer, very light. I'm gonna do the other side the exact same way on the outer corner and into the crease. I'm using this little dense brush because I will be taking a fluffier brush to blend everything out. I like to lay down color first and then blend out. This does blend it a little bit, but I find a big fluffy brush works the best. Let's see how I'm looking here. Turn towards my natural light source. And it's looking nice. It's looking very light. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that color and tap again. I'm not going to tap it twice this time. I'm just going to tap it once. And I'm going to focus that on the same areas, more on the corner. Okay, I might have just burped. And I apologize for that, but I'm a burpy lady. It's my favorite bodily function. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing on both sides where I'm picking up a little more product, focusing it a little bit more on the outer edge in the crease of the same color I used originally. And this is just to kind of deposit more color where I feel I need it. Now I'm going to take a look in my mirror. I think that's looking nice. I'm going to take my nice fluffy brush here. It's the same It's Cosmetic brush I use in everything. This is the It Cosmetics for Ulta brush in the crease and concealer brush. And I like the crease because it's nice and floofy and soft. And I really like the way it blends eyeshadow. Now I'm just blending that up. Blending that upwards, not too far up. We don't want this going to my eyebrow. But I'm just blending that to make sure I have no harsh lines. We don't want any harsh lines here. Now turn towards the natural light source, look in the mirror, and decide how I'm feeling. So this is actually very light. I'm not getting like a bam of payoff, but that's what I was expecting from this. I wasn't expecting to get this ridiculous right off the bat payoff, kind of, if that makes sense. That's kind of what I'm expecting from most eyeshadows, is buildable, workable, and that's what I like. Plus, these are very, very soft when I touch them, so I was expecting that. Now, I'm gonna go into that last shade, the darkest shade, which is Evening Star. And I'm going to tap into that with that same denser brush. And I'm going to focus this mainly on the outer corner and right in the outer crease. I really want to focus my color there. I did that on one eye, so I'm going to do the same on the other. If you hear that sound, I'm tapping off every time afterwards, because I don't want to put too much product in an area I don't want it. So I'm just placing this down. I'm not blending it out. I'm going to take that fluffy brush, look in my mirror here, and really kind of blend that outwards and into the crease and up into that shade we did before. I'm just trying to add a smidgen of dimension, if you will, a smidge of dimension, just to start to build up an outer edge here before we start building on the inner. Now, let's see how I'm liking this. I feel my left eye might be a little darker. It could be my lighting, so I'm going to turn towards my natural light. And it's looking very natural, like very natural. Also, I'm kind of noticing, let's see if I can't blend that a little bit, that the corner, it's kind of blending into nothing, and that's okay. That's okay when it comes to this kind of stuff, is I'm not trying to be super dark with this right away. I don't want an intense, immediate dark payoff. I'm trying to build and add to the amount of payoff that I want. So I've got this kind of smoky thing going on. It's not very dark, it's a very light smoky. And that's okay, because like I said, I really just kind of want to build up. I'm trying to build up to more coverage as I go. I find this is the best way to control the payoff you get instead of going too dark right away. So I'm kind of going back in and adding a little bit of that darkest color as much as I see fit, and then blending back and forth with windshield wiper motions and tiny circular motions more towards the outer and the lid. Now, these little motions will help. If you're feeling like nothing's blending, then I would take your time. I feel like everything's blending really well, to be honest. Oh, excuse me. And I might actually, I hit the microphone, I'm sorry. But I might actually take this darkest color into my crease. I'm not sure. I'm going to contemplate. This is all in the fun of figuring out what your look is going to be. This is also in the fun of just playing with makeup. I think that you should always take the time to just play around with fashion and makeup and beauty and all that stuff, and really kind of hone your creativity that way. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we are going to continue on with this eyeshadow palette.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we've been talking about different products that I picked up, makeup products that I picked up from TJ Maxx today. And really kind of things that you could find at TJ Maxx that might be worth the money because it's a lot cheaper than buying it on its own. Now, I added a little bit more darkness towards the outer corner, but I'm with the BareMinerals palette that we were just talking about. If you just started here and you're like, what are you talking about? Eyeshadow, this and that. Stop right now, go to the beginning, and start over. Trust me, it'll make sense. So I'm really debating if I wanted to do a halo-esque eye where I put my Stila shadow in the center instead of kind of more towards the inner corner, but then that also kind of is going to affect whether I do a wing or not. So I think I'm going to keep it there, but I might add a little bit of warmth to it with the red shade in the middle of this palette called Harvest Moon. Now, when I swatched this one, I saw that it wasn't as matte as the last two in this palette, even though everything looks shiny in this palette, I promise you. But it wasn't as shimmery as the first two. It's the very middle shade. It was almost metallic-esque. But makeup has no rules, really. So I'm going to put this kind of in the same places I put that darker shadow, just less with that dense fluffy brush. I'm only using 2 brushes. You don't need a lot of brushes to do one eye look. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So I'm going to kind of tap into here. I'm tapping a few times because I feel like I'm not getting enough product. I'm going to tap off just slightly. And I'm going to focus that a little bit further in to my eyelid here, then out and then up into the crease a smidge, just a smidgen. And that's adding a really nice warmth to my eye here. Let's add a little more. It was looking very cool toned to me. Now I'm going to turn towards my light source. Remember to always have a good light source that you're working off of here. I'm adding and subtracting where I see fit with this same color and this same dense brush, just to kind of get that exact placement and color that I want before I blend it out. I'm liking this shade. It's very pretty. I don't feel like it's got a lot of shine, but like the other shades, it's not giving me a ton of payoff, but that's okay because it's building really beautifully. I'm going to take that fluffy brush now and really kind of blend out what I just did. Sort of into the crease, melding those colors together so it's not like a harsh line between colors here. Once again, when it comes to blending, take your time. These are blending beautifully. So I'm not having a lot of hard time here. Blending everything out. Blend in, blend in, blend in, blend. That's all you do in makeup, is blend. Now, how do I feel so far? I feel like everything is blending fine and looking okay, I'm just not getting the payoff that I want out of this red color. So one thing that I'm going to do is, remember how I've been tapping off my brush after every application or every dip into the shadow? I'm going to dip in and not tap off. I'm going to dip in a few times till I see a color I like, and I'm really going to place that almost in a dragging motion where I want it on my eye, just to make sure I'm getting it where I want to and I'm getting the color that I want. This is a big thing when it comes to new eyeshadow palettes for me, is just, can everything build up? I've built up a lot more almost to the center of my eyelid with that red color, and now I'm just going in with that fluffy brush and really kind of blending it out here. I really want this to be nice and blended and a little on the warmer side. So I'm blending it all over my eyelid. I will be covering it up with a little bit of shimmer. I'm not going to do a cut crease. I think they're not, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of a cut crease, especially on my own eyeballs. So now I'm looking at it and I've kind of gotten this purpley color from mixing all the colors together, and I actually am in love with this. I'm loving the way that it's looking here. I'm looking in my natural lighting, and we're looking pretty. We're looking pretty today. I'm really excited about this. I think this palette is really pretty. So I've got a flat end of the brush on the other side of my crease and concealer brush. This is my big fluffy brush. And the first color in this, I think, would complement this eyeshadow, this liquid eyeshadow from Stila that I picked up, and I might put that down beforehand to add a little bit more sparkle, but I might not. I might not, just because I want to see how that performs on its own. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I think we're going to move on to the next step. Yeah, that was this clicking. Sound check on palette, please. That was funny in my head. It was probably not that funny to you guys, but I'm liking that. Let's talk about how this is performing for me so far. I'm going to look up real close at my eyeballs. Oh, I'm dropping things, and see what we're looking at here, and I can kind of explain to you how I'm feeling. The magnifying side of my mirror is dirty. All right. So everything's melded together really well. Everything's blended pretty well. I might go over the edge one last time just to kind of blend more. But they've kind of all melded together to make almost a singular color. Okay. I'm noticing though in my crease on one of my eyes, it looks like it's having a little bit of a difficulty blending. So I'm going to go back in and just continue to kind of soften that. Like I said, sometimes blending takes forever, but it's worth it for that end result. Trust me here. I'm bringing this all the way into my corner now just to kind of see how that's going. Okay, so this brush is picking up the product in a weird way. Okay. I think it's fine. I think this is a fine eyeshadow palette. Do I think it's worth the original price, which is like $30? Probably not, but is it worth the price I paid, which was $12? Absolutely. I think this is a really pretty palette, and these shadows are really stunning. Just fair warning that they all look shimmery, but half of the palette is actually not that shimmery. When I'm looking close up at my eye, I'm really not seeing a single shimmer when it comes to this, which is really surprising for this. Also, there's no fallout in the palette, so it's still very clean, which is nice because this palette is just jet black. And let's see, I'm taking a real close look again. I think it's looking pretty well blended. It kind of looks like one singular shadow, like I said, and that's okay. I think we need to add to it. I think that's really what's going to take this look to the next level, but I'm not seeing a single shimmer. So I don't know if it's just those last shades, all the shades that I used. I'm not seeing a single shimmer on my eye at all, and they're all shimmery in the pan. Now, when I rubbed my finger in it, I was doing that to see if I could take off an overspray of glitter, but even underneath when you look at it, there's still shimmer, so I'm not sure where that shimmer is going. right back into the brush, I guess. I'm not 100% sure, but it's not there. This is a lot more matte than I was expecting to look at this stage in this look, I guess. So just keep that in mind, that this BareMinerals Bounce and Blur eyeshadow palette, at least in dusk, is probably not going to be as shimmery as you think it is. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to move on to our next product.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we've been talking about and testing out these makeup items that I have found at TJ Maxx. These are things you could probably pick up, and it kind of shows you what types of things that you could pick up from TJ Maxx. Now, we just used the BareMinerals, what are we calling this? Bounce and Blur eyeshadow palette in Dusk. Now, I'm moving on to using the Stila, what are we called here? Glitter and Glow Liquid Shadow in the color Ballet Baby. Now, this is a nice light little pink color. I don't know if it's going to go with this look today, but we're trying everything out, and if I don't like it, I can take it off. That's the fun of makeup. Let's get another good sound out of this. It's such a good sound. I mean, come on. So it's got a very flat, rounded doe foot applicator. It's got a little protector so all the product doesn't come out with it, which I really like in here. Once again, it smells like nothing, kind of like eyeshadow or liquid shadows I've used before. Now, I'm going to go directly from the wand onto my eye because I do not think I'm going to use this on a client. If I really do like it and I'd like to use it on a client, I will not put this wand back in there, and I will depot the product in a sanitary way, or I'll sanitize this, put it back in there, and I will still not use this individually on people's eyes. I'm just going to use it on the eye because I assume that is what you guys at home would be doing with this product. So we're going to start in the inner corner and work our way outwards. I want to start in the inner corner because that's where I'm going to want the most product and the brightest placement of this. So here we go. Oh, it's kind of large for there, but we'll try it. I'm scared. Okay. Okay, what are we doing here? Okay, so this is giving me a really weird texture. I'm going to take the flat end of my crease and concealer brush, and I'm going to pat this outwards. Kind of pat it, see if I can't blend it a little bit. This is giving me a really strange glittery pattern on the eyeball. I'm going to put this, ooh, I'm dropping things. I'm going to put this on the back of my hand, I think. I think I'm going to pull out more product. Or you know what? I'll use what's on the doe foot on the back of my hand here. I'm going to set that down. I'm going to use that same brush I was just talking about. I'm going to put this on there. I'm going to pick up a mirror here, and I'm going to run that over what we just put down. Okay, so this, it's almost like separating really strange. I'm going to take a quick video of my eyeball, and I'll post this on the social medias, which is at GSMC_beauty tips on Twitter and GSMC beauty tips on Facebook. Now, let's see if we'll take a quick video here. And let's see, I'll talk through it and then you guys can go and see this. All right, so we are podcasting right now. I'm putting on the glitter, and do you see how it's clinging to my eye in a weird fashion? I have no other makeup on. I know this is a really attractive look here, but it's just, I don't know how I feel about this. It's looking really weird, especially from a distance. So that was my quick little video. I'm going to dip back in and I'm going to take my finger right off the little doe foot, grab my mirror here, and I'm going to pat it on. I don't know. It's just, man, it's doing something weird. I don't, it looks so pretty on my finger. What's going on? What is going on? See, not all products are winners, my friend. This is just the weirdest glitter look I'm having going on here. That's going on here. I'm glad that we caught this on the podcast so we can catch it together. I've got a makeup wipe here. I'm going to remove this from my finger and excuse me. I'm very burpy today. I've had a soda, that's why. And I'm gonna I don't know what to do about this. We're gonna save this. We are gonna find a way to save this. So I'm gonna go back into that BareMinerals palette. I'm going to wipe off the excess that was on this brush here because we don't want all that coming right back onto our lid here. I'm just using a makeup wipe for this since this is just a quick little look we're doing. Nothing over the top here. Okay, and I'm going to go into that first shade, Purple Twilight. It's not purple, that's what I don't get here. And I'm going to dip into that shade, and I'm going to put this on top of what we just did. See if I can't somehow use that to smooth out whatever is going on here. Gosh, I really wanted this to work. I know that the Stila Magnificent Metals glitter eyeshadows or whatever, metallic eyeshadows are supposed to be really good. But this is just giving me like a curdled milk look on my eye. This is sort of saving it, to be honest here. Now we're going to try this a different way on the other eye. This is all for experiment's sake. I'm going to just go straight into that beautiful color, this Purple Twilight that's not purple, in the BareMinerals palette and put it down first. Okay, this is a pretty color on its own. It's just a nice light wash of shimmer without being too much. I think I really recommend this palette to people who are starting out. It's really looking beautiful. I wish I would have just done this. Oh, I'm going to have to take a photo so you guys can see what my eyeballs are looking like right now. I have no other makeup on my face except for this right now. Because I really wanted, well, first off, I didn't know if anything was going to fall out or anything along those lines, and I did not want to get that in my base makeup. Oh man, I like the way it looks without all this glitter chunkiness. I'm definitely going to take a photo so you guys can see. We are in real time now, my friends. I'm taking photos in real time and videos in real time so you guys can really kind of understand what I'm going through. But this is really kind of what I do when I'm trying out any sort of product, is I really kind of go and we're switching around, guys. I really try and go and see the best that I can and do the best that I can and work in different sections and whatnot and play around, find things that don't work, find things that do work with products when I'm trying to test out a new product. So let's see if I can't get a good photo here. I'm not good at taking photos of my eyeballs. Let's see what that looks like. That looks, that's not a good photo of myself, but we can edit it down so it's just my eyes and we can take a pretty good look at this. Because that's the big thing here is we just are trying to look at the eyeballs. We're not trying to look at anything else in the frame. Done. Man, my face is looking extra creepy today. And I think it's just because I haven't put on anything else and my skincare is not on yet. So that's great. I'm going to take a quick break and probably take this shimmer off. And when we come back, we are going to move on to our last product and talk about everything that we've done already.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast. Now, this entire podcast, we are talking about products, makeup products that I picked up from TJ Maxx, kind of things that you might be able to pick up at your local TJ Maxx, or just kind of showing you the type of products that you can get. And we've been going through each individual product, trying them on, kind of reviewing them. And we just talked about the Stila Glitter and Glow Liquid Eyeshadow. I put this on and I didn't like it. Obviously, if you've been listening, if you're just starting now, once again, why are you starting now? We are 52 minutes in and you are starting now. You need to stop and you need to go all the way back and start over. But, so I actually took that off my eyelid, and I tried to fix it, and I put on that nice light, shade that is Purple Twilight, which is not purple whatsoever, from the BareMinerals Bounce and Blur Dusk Eyeshadow Palette, and it's looking a little red on my right eye versus my left eye. I'm not sure why. Also, there is glitter all over my hand and it will not come off. I definitely am not a fan of that Stila glitter eyeshadow. I think that I could use it on the inner corner or right underneath for a really nice little extra pop of glitter, but it's definitely not something that I personally like all over the lid. I think it looks kind of like curdled milk. And it's not that it's old, it's not that it is gross and curdled, it's just the way that the glitter that's in this product sticks. It sticks in flakes and chunks, and I'm not a fan of it. So let's move on to our last item before we talk about everything else. And like my final thoughts on everything. And this is our Bite Beauty lip gloss in the shade French Press. Now this, once again, we're going to sound check the lip gloss. Are you ready? Oh, it didn't do it. Let's see. Oh, it didn't do it again. We got that good pop at the beginning, and that's all it had in it. So let's take a good sniff once again. It smells like chocolate and like coffee. I don't know. I love everything about this. This is a dark brown shade. I'm not the biggest lip gloss fan because I feel like it gets stuck in everything, but it can really add to a lip look. I'm going to put this directly on my dry lips. My lips are so incredibly dry right now. And I think this is kind of a good test to see how it's going to look over this. I haven't put any sort of moisturizing anything on my lips. I'm just going to go straight in and we're going to try it this way. The doe foot applicator is kind of pointed, flat and at an angle. So I wonder if this is going to be easy. Let's try this on. Okay. Ooh, it's very dark. Okay. Very dark. Okay. God, it reminds me of like almost like a specific candy. And I can't put my finger on it. I need to dip back in again. already. I'm not fully on the lips yet, but I feel like I need to dip back in. I don't know if that's just me or if I was waving it around too much when I was talking. Let's go. Okay. So here we go. Mama. And here. And here. Okay. Let's talk about this. It's on the lips. It is semi-dark. Semi-dark. It's pretty dark, to be honest with you. It is, like, based off of coffee, so I assume that it would be dark, but it's pretty opaque for a gloss. I did a terrible application of this, but we're just trying it out. This is, like, weirdly not sticky. It has a little bit of a taste. Don't eat your lip gloss, but that's totally what I'm doing right now. It's got like a bit of a sweet taste. I like it. It's nice and pretty. Ooh. Okay. It's not like 100% opaque, but it's a gloss. But it's not sheer, if you get what I'm saying. And it's not that sticky. How weird. So I'm still getting that kind of like rim around the inner of my lip. So I'm going to kind of try and add a little extra in there, just wondering if this will be able to cover it. Okay, in the lip. Okay. It's still going to give you a little bit of a rim, but not as bad as like a normal liquid lipstick or something like that would give. This is actually really pretty. I'm in it for this gloss. Is it on my teeth yet? No. How is that? I always get lipstick on my teeth. Like always. Every time I'm putting a lipstick on, I'm putting a lip gloss on, I'm putting something on, and I'm getting lipstick on my teeth, but this isn't on my teeth yet. So already it's gotten a good thing in my book. I'm going to keep this on while I'm talking to you guys and we talk about each individual product. And I'm going to talk about this one last because I need it to sit for a bit. Let's do the nice locking mechanism click. Sound check on Bite Beauty lip gloss. It's such a good sound. Okay, so let's talk about everything. Let's start out with the eyeshadow palette. The eyeshadow palette. I can talk. The BareMinerals Bounce and Blur eyeshadow palette in Dusk. Let's talk about what it says on the back and see if it kind of lives up to those claims. So it says clean without compromise, full of bouncy blendable color, free of fallout. Fingertip friendly bounce powder applies effortlessly for an instant diffused wash of blendable blurred color. Now, let's talk about that. So I do think that this is a very blendable formula. It's very soft. I do agree that there is no fallout. I had no issue with fallout on my face or in the palette itself. Fingertip friendly, I have not tried that yet. So that I can't say anything on. I've only used a brush. But where it says applies effortlessly for an instant diffused wash of blendable blurred color. I do kind of agree with this because it's not very opaque, and that's okay. It's not super opaque, but it gives you a nice little wash of color. It's very blendable. I actually really like this palette. This was a very good find. And like I had said, it was about $30 originally, and I got it for $12, so I think this is a steal. So I really think this would be good for beginners. Now, don't be intimidated by the fact that everything is shimmery, because from the middle color right, I'm looking at it, so right, the colors Crimson Sunset, Harvest Moon, and Evening Star are definitely not shimmery like they look in the pan. On my eyes right now, they're not shimmery whatsoever. But I did put on Purple Twilight on my lid, and that is shimmery, but it's not too shimmery. It's just a nice little wash of shimmer. I bet you could wet a brush and get a little bit more opacity out of it, but I think that the other ones that I just talked about are not. Now, I did not play with Sepia Sky. I can never pronounce that word properly. I don't know how you say it. But I did not try Sepia Sky, but I do believe it'll be the same as Purple Twilight, where it will be pretty, it'll be sparkly, but not too much. So I do really like this, and I think if you're in your local TJ Maxx and you see this, I think this is a good pickup and a good find. Now, let's move on to the Stila liquid eyeshadow. Let's see what it says. Oh, I'm dropping things. I'm losing it. I'm losing it in this office. Dropping everything. Oh, too much makeup. Can't pick anything up. But I got it. Okay, let's continue. So let's talk about what it says on the box here for this. It says benefit. Oh, it's got a lot going on here. It says long wearing sparkle eyeshadow, the perfect mix of pearl and glitter for mixed out shimmer, lightweight water infused formula, locks in sparkle for minimal fallout. Okay, so long wearing I can't say anything about because I have not been wearing it long, but I will say it's still on my hand from when I swatched it. A perfect mix of pearl and glitter for a mixed out shimmer. It honestly looks like chunky glitter to me. It doesn't look like chunky glitter originally when you pull it out, but when you put it on your eye, the glitter chunks just kind of clump together, and that's where I have a bit of a problem with it. Lightweight, I don't know. It felt in between light and heavy, so it's like a medium weight, I guess. Like wrestlers. It's the, what are they called? Oh gosh, what are the wrestlers that are, oh man, I love wrestling. Who am I? I keep forgetting. Anyway, cruiserweight. So it's like cruiserweight. But then it says water infused, locks in sparkle for minimal fallout. I did not see any fallout, but once I started to rub it off on my hand when I was using the makeup wipe, my hand is now just a glitter pool. It is just covered in glitter, so I don't know how to say. Let's read how they say to apply it and see if I did things wrong. It says apply one coat directly along the lash line and center of the lid. Use your finger or a firm brush in a tapping motion to blend edges and set. Wear alone or over eyeshadow. Discontinue if irritation occurs. Now, I did most of these things. I used my finger, I used a firm brush, and I did tapping motions, and it didn't work for me. I think this would be very pretty as an inner corner highlight, and I think I can find other uses for this, but I don't know if I'll just go straight on the lid with this again. I'm kind of disappointed about this. Let's move on to our next, last, and final beautiful product. Okay, there we go. So let's talk about the Bite Beauty French Press Lip Gloss. Now let's see what the packaging says. I should have read the packaging in the beginning, but I like to just play with things without being told what to do, if that makes sense. So this is honestly just ingredients. It's only giving me ingredients. It says made with natural and organic ingredients. It's giving me all the ingredients on the back of it. And it says it may contain a few things, nothing that's unnecessary. It says it's organic and natural, and that's it. It really gives me no instructions on this box, which is fine because it's a lip gloss. Now, how I'm feeling about it right now, I've been wearing it while we've been talking, and I feel like I feel like I know it's there. It's a lip gloss. I know it's there. It's not really sticky, which is really weird because I'm used to like sticky lip gloss. But it's not like not sticky because it's a lip gloss. I just want to get that across. And the color is really pretty. Honestly, the more I look at it, the more I wear it, the more it's spreading to an evener finish, if that makes sense. Because my application was pretty messy, to be honest. It is giving me a little bit of that rim around the inner. It is a darker color, so I'm assuming that it would do that. It's not on my teeth, which is mind-blowing to me. And it's this beautiful darker color. I really enjoy it. I think I really like this. And I like the smell and the locking mechanism. Before I start thanking you guys, before we go, we're going to sound check this one more time because it's a beautiful sound. Are you ready? Oh, if I can close it. Ready? And sound check on Bite Beauty Lip Gloss in French Press. It's a good sound. So, my thoughts is that you can find good things at TJ Maxx. There are some great things that I found here. One, not so great, but it's still usable in one way or another. I just got to figure out what way that is. And I'm not 100% sure what that is yet. But I think this is lovely. I'm going to take pictures of the look that I did. Obviously, I will not have the Stila eyeshadow on my lids. But I will have the other products on. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup so you guys can really kind of see it all together and see it in a full look instead of just what I'm looking like now, which is nothing else and my eyes and my lips done. Sometimes I will go out like this though, just depending on how I'm feeling, but not today. But I think you can find good things. Just be careful with open boxes. Be careful of broken things. Just be careful and, take a quick look. Look at, also just kind of look and do your research before you really pick anything up. I just want everybody out there to be safe. And I want to thank you guys so much for going with me on this journey of things I found at TJ Maxx that you could also find at TJ Maxx. And for listening to me ramble as I put on eyeshadow, lip gloss, and whatever that liquid eyeshadow is. Next time, I'm going to try another product that I talked about in the beginning of this, so look out for that podcast. And once again, guys, I want to thank you so much for listening to the GSMC Beauty Tips podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colleen, and I will talk to you in the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from health and wellness to entertainment and life and happiness to sex and relationships. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast.